Hey man, let's decompress. What do you say? Hey there, Enterprisers, what's good? It's Jason Lago here again, and in this video, I want to talk to you about how to decompress after a busy day at work. That's right, we're talking about how to decompress after a busy day at work. Now, up front, I'm going to tell you that this video is going to be short and sweet, as per usual, and maybe even shorter, just because I want to get right to the point on this topic that really isn't talked about enough. Obviously, we're in the business of making money, of hustling and grinding and becoming our best selves. That's what we do when we go to work. That's what we do, especially in entrepreneurship. When we're starting our own business, it is about the hustle and grind, right? And everyone will tell you you need to be about that, myself included. However, there does come a point though where you reach a point of diminishing return. In other words, if you don't decompress and if you don't take the time for self, which is something that is so neglected, and I am guilty of that myself, but if you don't do it, then you can be headed to a really bad place in no time flat, okay? So it absolutely is important to decompress. And the things that I'm going to give you today are not astronomical, they're not huge, they're not out of this world. They're very, very simple, but so simple that I believe that you can discount it if you don't think about it. So as I say them, really think about what I'm saying, find a way to incorporate it, and I promise you, you'll be that much better for it. Let's get started. How to decompress after a busy day at work, or a busy week at work, a busy day of work, a busy season of work. Let's talk about decompressing, shall we? Let's get right into it. Number one, exercise, okay? Exercise, work out, right? Now I know that actually sounds a little bit counterproductive. It sounds a little bit weird, doesn't it, right? If you're like me, the first logic says, okay, if I go ahead and put in this huge grind at work after a long, busy day, when I come home, the last thing I want to do is exert more effort and put more work into something, drive to the gym or, whatever you call it, to work out and put some exercise. And I can understand why you might think that way, because it's true. That is the way that our minds run. But I got to tell you, there really is something about working out in order to relax and just really work out some of these things that are in your mind and your body, let go of stress, release toxins, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a physical therapist, nor am I a strength and conditioning coach or a trainer by any means. So go ahead and validate some of what I'm saying with some of that counsel if you want to. But I'm just going to tell you something. When you exercise and when you work out, you feel better. This happens every single time. Obviously, every person who works out experiences that when if you don't want to do it and you go ahead and do it anyway, everyone feels better afterwards. There is a sense of accomplishment. But I got to tell you, there really is something to working out your stress levels through the process of working out. Does that make sense? So work out however it is that you want to work out, whatever it will make you feel good at the end of the day, all right? I'm not going to tell you to adopt a specific program. Go ahead and find what works for you. Again, seek out your own counsel in this, your own physical trainer or what have you. But it could be light cardio, it could be weightlifting, strength training, okay? And it's just one of those things where if you exercise, I promise you'll feel better. And there really is something to it, almost to the point where you will feel better when you sleep at night, right? Just to be able to work things out, a good way to relax is to work out, right? And then when you couple it with things like a nice warm shower afterwards and a very, very replenishing meal, I'm telling you what, there are a few things that get you to that state of euphoria that are like this. So find a way to work out. Now, this is also where you might want to consider doing things or putting things in place that'll make this easier and more systematic for you to do. For instance, one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like to work out or exercise is because they don't want to take the extra time that it takes to go to the gym, right? And I get it. When you get home, the last thing you want to do is slap on a new pair of clothes, change clothes, get back into your car, head 20 to 30 minutes elsewhere, drive around for 30 minutes just to find a parking spot, and then contend with other people for the gym and for the machines that you want to use, whatever you want to call it, right? I totally get that. So this is where you might want to consider finding other ways to work out, or again, putting things in place. Maybe you want to invest in a home gym, right? Maybe you want to find a place that is close to you, like a park, for instance, where you can do more body weight stuff, right? Or again, find ways to put things in place, maybe at home. Now, maybe you don't need to go ahead and set up the entire home gym and transform your entire garage, but could you invest in a couple of dumbbells? Could you invest in a barbell, right? Could you invest in a jump rope? Could you maybe go out and buy an elliptical or a stationary bike? Do you see what I'm saying here? And be strategic about where you place it. Can you place it in a place that overlooks your favorite sunrise, or you know what I mean? Something along those lines. In my case, I like to do functional trainings. And in my opinion, the kettlebell is the best bang for your buck. It's fairly small in relation to a lot of other workout material that's out there. And I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, nothing gets you a more beastly workout than a kettlebell. So find what works for you, but understand that if you exercise and if you work out, I'm telling you what, you will definitely decompress. Number two, disconnect. Disconnect, okay? How can you decompress? disconnect, right? Find a way to disconnect. And when I say disconnect, I'm not talking about disconnecting from your family and friends, although maybe that might have something to do with it. But when you consider the fact that most people, when they're at work, they're plugged into something, they're connected into something. In my case, and in your case probably, things like email and your phone and your social media. You got screens on all the time, right? And this is precisely the reason why I don't propagate coming home and just plopping down on the couch in front of the television and just vegging out, right? I don't like that at all. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, relax on the couch, watch your favorite show, play a video game with your son. I'm just simply saying don't just drop in front of the screen, because now how are you disconnecting, right? If you've got screens on all day long, especially if you're an entrepreneur and working in an online business, you're staring at a computer all day. You're on your phone messaging people. You are emailing people. You're engaging on social media. You're doing all these things that involve screens. When you get home, when you get off of work, disconnect, right? Go ahead and find ways to disconnect. Shut off the TV, shut off your phone, disconnect from it. Leave it in another room. When you go work out, don't take your phone with you. Right? Things like that. Just find ways to disconnect for a little bit. Now, if you're like me, you probably are wondering, well, what if I miss out on an emergency, right? What if I miss out on a need? What if a message comes in, or what if something comes in? And here's the answer to that. It'll still be there when you turn your phone back on, right? It'll still be there, right? It's not like needs go away. Oftentimes, when you do this and you exercise the discipline to not plug in, to not stay plugged into your phone and things like that, what happens is sometimes you have subordinates, you have team members, they have questions, they have issues, they escalate it to you, but because you don't respond immediately, what happens? A lot of the times they figure out a way to do it for themselves, right? They find the answer themselves. Sometimes someone's pinging you because you're a valuable resource and they're asking you, how do I get this done? And how do I fix this? And how do I solve this problem? And yet, because you're not available, if it really is of a time crunch and really is of a nature that is that intense, guess what? They'll go ahead and take care of it on their own. And that's really cool too, because now you're showing resourcefulness in your team and you can grow and you can do business together and find that you've got leaders who are self-starters, and that is invaluable. So disconnect. Number 3 and finally is meditate, okay? Meditate. Now don't worry, when I say meditation, I'm not gonna try to take this in any weird direction. Not that any of it's weird, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not really big into a whole lot of that type of stuff outside of my personal faith, which I incorporate into my meditation. But I'm gonna tell you that you don't need to necessarily subscribe to any type of visceral thinking or faith-based or spirituality in order to enjoy the benefits of meditation. Sometimes all it is just sitting still, breathing, focusing on your breath, being present, and reflecting on the things that are around you, things about your day. There is something almost magical about this process when you use this to decompress, because like I said, you're becoming aware of things, you're sitting there enjoying the moment, and it's almost as if you just sit there still and quiet and breathe and really appreciate where you're at. Especially when you consider that you work in a busy environment, like me in corporate America previously, or me in my business, or me now in my ministry. Things are always moving around. There's so many moving parts. Sometimes the value is just sitting still quiet and not having someone ping you for something, not having to meet a deadline, not having to do any of that stuff. Just sit still quietly and breathe. And this becomes a very, very meditative state. And there are some great benefits. It's almost as if you can feel the stress lifting off of your body and disappearing, okay? Again, I don't want to get a little bit too weird for it, but I'll go ahead and mention that yes, I am a person of faith. I believe in God, and so if you want to go ahead and incorporate that into your meditation, you certainly can as well. Maybe use this time to recite scripture, for instance, or memorize scripture, or pray, or things like that. Whatever it is that works for you and helps you in this instance, go ahead and do it. I say it's all good. Meditation is one of those things where if you do it, you can definitely decompress. There you have it, my friends. Again, short and sweet as per usual. Hope this was helpful to you. Make sure you give me a like and a comment. Share this with someone who you know needs to decompress, all right? We all know someone who does outside of ourselves, so make sure that you share it with them so that they can go ahead and benefit from it. Now hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any more hot new content that I got coming down the pipe just for you. Also, if you haven't had a chance yet, click on the link in my description. It's the greatest way to start your own wildly profitable online business, even if you failed at everything else before, tried everything and just can't get it done. Watch over my shoulder and I'll show you how to get this done, all right? This is Jason Ligo with Always Enterprise. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.